and work my way through. I got very intense in 2014 when we walked into the $800,000 deficit. There was a lot of meetings and a lot of tough decisions made. And also, I don't want to single anyone out, but Mayor, since you asked, I do want to thank you for all the support. You've never been someone who didn't take advice if you thought it was honestly being given to you, and you've never questioned any of the financial decisions from Brenda. My times it's hectic, and I just want to say you've been through a lot. You came in at a tough time, and things have improved tremendously under your administration. So I just want to say thanks as a friend. Also, I do remember as city clerk that you were the chief of police at the time, and you saved me a lot of headaches. You helped me a lot, and I'll never forget that. So I want to thank you publicly for that.
Thank you, sir. So, David, to me, most of you don't remember because I don't think it was even covered by the press. Dave, Angela sung at the beginning of the ceremony. Fantastic. He also gave me the first juvenile member of my advisory board that we put together. And Angela was the first youth that was on the board. Dave's family has meant a lot to me. I've known them all now. And thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Robin,
Yes.
Mr. Moreno,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer, Seidel, absent. Mayor Brown,
Yes.
one absent.
Request a motion to accept the verbal resignation.
So moved.
Yeah, I would like to.
So say you.
Uh,
So say you.
I want to say this, to Mrs. Seidel and her family, I wish them all the best. I'm ashamed of how this all came about, but I do understand. Family means, that's all there is to it. And I hope going forward,
You probably don't know. Jennifer was one of the first people on my advisory board. Things that happened before she got here partially were because of her. Her and my wife were the first two female members on that board. Good things came out of it. Jennifer participated and enjoyed it so much, she ran for council. A little disappointed tonight. She ran for council. A little disappointed tonight. Again, if you ever need anything, holler. We're here. Anyone else? Holler. We're here. Anyone else?
Mayor, I must say this to her. I actually got to know her because Public Works worked quite a bit with and I just want everybody to know, at the last meeting, I didn't know nothing about it, but I will honor her wish.
I'm glad you had something extra because I forgot. Most of us get known by something or other. The one thing with Jennifer to remember with her, the deer on Water Street. Thank you.
Makes a bad situation look nice.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It brightens up the
It
area.
does. Okay, sorry.
All right.
Very critical.
If there's no one else, unfortunate roll call, Mr. Slavin.
Mr. Robin,
Yes.
Mr. Moreno,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tough meeting all the way around.
Yes, it was.
Request a motion to accept ASME contract proposal provided to the city by the city's labor attorney with the term of the agreement January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2024.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Roll call, sir.
Mr. Robin,
Yes.
Mr. Morano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is request a motion on the recommendation of the chief of police, the hiring of Francis Petrovich as a part-time police officer in the city of Shamokin with the maximum hours of 28 hours per week per the terms of the collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
So, second that.
Properly moved and seconded. On the question, just one, has Mr. Petrovich been vetted by the civil service board? Okay, that's, I'm okay. The, roll call, sir.
Mr. Rowan,
Yes.
Mr. Morano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mayor Brown,
Unfortunately, no.
3 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent.
Okay, here's another one. Request a motion to accept the resignation of Sarah Shepherd as receptionist for the code office effective December 31st, 2021.
So moved.
Second that, Mayor.
Properly moved and seconded. Anyone on the question?
This,
I thought Charlie was gonna say something. I'm sorry.
No, I just, Mayor, as long as we're putting out, thank you. I want to thank her for past several months. She did a good job. Thank her for past several months. She did a good job filling in and helping us out. Yes, it'll be hard meeting, that's for sure. Thank you, Sarah.
We're sorry to see you go.
Yes.
Good family.
Yep.
Mayor, I'd like to echo that as well. You've
Best of luck.
done quite a bit in the short time you were there,
Yep.
Sarah, and I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I also understand your
Yep.
reasoning behind everything.
Sure.
You gotta do it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you, seriously, and your
You were a good solution for us.
Yep.
I wish we could have found a way to keep you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, roll call, sir.
Mr. Rowan,
Yes.
Mr. Morano,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Reluctantly, yes.
Yep.
and you, Mayor Brown.
Once again, disappointingly, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, that takes us through all of the new business, folks. The unfinished business, the first one, the music in the park, is deleted from my agenda.
That's correct.
All of the others are related to the covered bridge. Eric's here tonight. He was at our workshop meeting, spoke to us and clarified, I believe, all of the problems.
Yep.
In an effort to consolidate, I'm gonna ask for just two motions. First motion will be, request a motion to allow the covered bridge brew house to host all of their events as listed under the unfinished business.
So moved.
Second that.
Properly moved and seconded. Anyone on the question? Hearing none, roll call, sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
The second one will be the separate request a motion to suspend the open container ordinance at the events that were just voted through on your agendas for alcohol served within the event corridor only. Properly moved and seconded.
I'll second it.
Anyone on the question for those? Roll call, sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Got you through the unfinished business rather quickly there. There's nothing else that I'm missing, folks, here anywhere? Okay. Bob, no boards and committees?
No, sir.
Solicitors report, Frank, your time to shine.
No report, Mayor.
Any words of wisdom from you or
Well,
anything you'd like to say?
I would like to say this December marks the conclusion of my 15th year as city solicitor, not consecutively, but cumulatively. I've enjoyed it. A couple years ago, the city was at its lowest and you couldn't find a solicitor, even if you turned over a rock. I volunteered. Then Bob came on board, the city's doing better, not because of me. In the beginning of this year, when there was no solicitor again, I volunteered to come back. This is my city. I wasn't born here. I wasn't raised here, but I lived here. I raised my children here. And this is my home. And one way or the other, I'm happy I was doing what I did for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And again, you came here in tough times and worked with us with everything we had, with all we had. There wasn't much to work with, but we got through it. Thank you, Frank. Citizens' comments, folks. J-Rod.
First off, I'd like to congratulate Charlie and the Mayor and Councilwoman Seidel and Mr. Kinder. Thank you for your years of service and wish you the best.
Thank you.
The reason why I'm here, I would like an explanation as to the distribution of the COVID funds. It seems like there was maybe some picking and choosing as to who got the COVID funds and who didn't. And I'm just talking about in reference to the police department. We've had 2 officers retire this year that apparently weren't eligible for the COVID funds. And we have 4 or 5 part-time officers apparently are not eligible for the COVID funds. And I'd like an explanation as to why.
I can give you a general. Is there anything else you have? Because we
Well,
generally
after
do
your
the 3 minutes. you
explanation,
throw
I
a
might
lot at
have
us and-
something else to add.
Okay. Just in general, because it's a lot.
Well, I have the policy here right in front of me, so.
The CEDACOG one?
Yep.
Okay. It's an awful lot. A little better than a month ago. I read the paper and find out that Sunbury is handing out bonuses. It was coming up days later. And I kind of throw it out there to everybody on council. Hey, here's the deal. I want to do it, $5,000 for everybody, $250 for part-time folks. So we talked about it very little at the actual workshop meeting, other than kicking it around and asking Doreen to please get numbers together for us so we have some idea of what the expense would be. When we came to the meeting last month, it was set to be voted on, but unfortunately, we couldn't get anything to get, and I'm glad it got held off. We couldn't put numbers together to put a comprehensive, we had something to vote on. So we held off, we gave it a month. In that month's time, we contracted with CEDACOG to please make sure we don't screw this up. And immediately, they came to us and said, you had this all screwed up. And started to set forth rules for us. The first thing was, my assumption was it's COVID money. So we went all the way back to when COVID started in March of 2020. The fund does not allow that. March 3rd, 2021 was the first day that we could be eligible to spend any of that money. So that really set my timeframes off. And that's where a lot of people ended up losing out on time-wise for us. After that, we found out that there are specific provisions in there for who gets and who doesn't. The only ones that are absolutely entitled to it are the police department and the 4 fire chiefs. All other people that are listed in here had to be done by a proclamation from the chief executive officer of the city. That's me. We chief executive officer of the city. That's me. We included the city hall employees, same reason, and the warehouse. How they're not included in the general bill to say they deserve it as much as they're essential people is beyond me, but they had to be added also. That all we added? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have that.
That was another issue. There are some other specific exclusions. They set forth a checklist with us for everything that went on. John Brown's numbers for everybody were 1,000 hours to be worked as a full-time employee, 500 hours as a part-time employee. Without knowing any of the numbers. This was out of my head. Doreen was the first one that came to me and said, listen, I started working the numbers, you're way too high. Can you please reconsider? Drop the numbers down so folks can get helped out here a little bit. Okay, recommendation, Doreen, she said 900 and 450. Betsy Kramer said, I think you're still too high, the CEDACOG folks. They dropped it to 800 and 400. And that's where we landed, 800 and 400. Those were the parameters set forth for us. You must be a current employee. You must have worked somewhere in those hours, 400 for part-time, 800 for full-time. I'm trying to think.
Just since March
Just
3rd
since
of
March,
2021.
and that's where our numbers all got jammed up. We started saying from March of 2020, it's not provided for in the plan. That's where the numbers got cut drastically.
And the city will be audited on this in 5 years.
It's a mandatory audit, so we'll get caught for anything that we did improperly.
Well, I can tell you a couple things you're gonna get caught for, because it's right here in your policy.
And the man and,
Mayor,
Tyler Dombrowski.
it says, the city council of Shamokin has ratified that any employee who has worked 800 hours from March 3rd, 2021 until December 1st, 2021 is eligible to receive $10,000 from the city's ARPA allocation for hours worked. Additionally, the city council of Shamokin has ratified that any employee who has worked 400 hours from March 3rd, 2021 until December 1st, 2021 to receive $5,000 from the city of Shamokin's ARP allocation. The officers that were left out either worked 400 hours or 800 hours. Why were they left out? You mean to tell me they are current employees, whoever asked that?
one of the 10 o'clock in my office, to go over the numbers. If we have.
Officer Pastuka just left.
Yes, sir.
Okay, he worked 400 hours. Chief Tobias worked 400 hours.
Full-time hours,
Yeah,
we need 800.
but they're still employed. It doesn't specify, they're still employees of the city. Okay, so they at least work 400 hours.
Okay.
So why aren't they eligible for the funding? And Mr. Philco just left maybe a month ago, okay?
Mhm.
Up to a few days ago, I understood he wasn't getting the money. I mean, the kid just left.
Mhm.
How did he not work 800 hours?
He
Or
did.
400 hours? And he's still employed by the city.
I can't speak.
Whoever gave you, what I'm saying, whoever gave you these numbers,
It was printed right from payroll.
I'd like,
Tomorrow morning to speak with Officer Pastuka with the chief and go over them with you. I think where some of your confusion is.
and the chief is fully aware that this is an issue amongst the officers. Is,
Does anybody have a problem if we extend his 3 minutes? It's up now. It's up to you. Go ahead, sir.
so each part-time officer has to work 400 hours, okay? So that would be myself and 3 or 4 other part-time officers, okay? So 10 to, you're up to 12 to 1,600 hours of part-time work, okay? 400 by me and 400 by the rest of the officers. That amount of part-time work is not even available. Now, it might be available within a department, okay, but it's not offered to the officers, okay? So if 400 hours of work was offered to me, okay, I may have worked 400 hours. 400 hours of work wasn't offered to me to work it. So how can you hold the part-time officers to the same standard as a regular employee who has a set schedule? I don't have a set schedule at, 28 hours a week, working at the police department. I come to work when I'm asked if I would like to fill in for a shift. That's when I come to work. If the hours aren't offered to me, how am I gonna get 400 hours? And how is any of the other officers gonna get 400 hours? It's not, the standard shouldn't be the same. And I've worked, me and the other officers have all worked through COVID, okay? I don't know how, I still can't fathom how this is why I have to come here and talk to you about this.
We did.
Yeah, I did.
In a month's time, you could have met with me in my office. I'd go over all the documentation with you. You chose to come to the public meeting.
And it's my right to come to a public meeting and talk about something. Okay, so I'm being criticized for
I'm not criticizing you.
doing this?
I
Well, you're
just-
saying I'm making a spectacle, Mayor.
Well-
Don't embarrass me by saying I'm making a spectacle. I'm not
Well, I
making
think you came. You tried to embarrass me, Jared.
No,
And
I
the
did
proper-
not.
The proper employee should have been to schedule a meeting with myself, Bob.
And I
Ray.
exhausted my chain of command. I've talked to the chief about this. And you know what, the chief, he wasn't privy to any information.
He was not.
Okay, so what else am I supposed to do?
Where do you go next?
And where do I go next?
You should have came.
I came here, I'm talking to you.
Okay, if you'd like to meet with me tomorrow, I'll be in my office at 10 o'clock. I'll be there till 12 o'clock when I have to meet with the state over the same said bonuses and whether who gets what. I'm more than welcome to talk to you. I don't know if anything you have to say will change anybody's decisions up here, but I'll certainly relay any issues if there's a mistake made in the times. We counted full-time hours as full-time hours and part-time hours as part-time hours, is I think where the problem with some of the other officers lay. They may have worked 600 of the 800 of full-time hours. That doesn't count as that you got part-time work. If they would have worked part-time on top of it substantially, I think we probably would have, I don't know what council's decision was, that would have been.
Right, but again, Mayor, what I'm saying is it goes back to the hours aren't available to work.
And that's
That's
Jared,
my whole point.
And when I
is-
talked to you before, that I somewhat agree with you with, and I have talked to Ray, and unfortunately, I'm not gonna be here much longer. But personally, here in this next month, I've asked them, schedule all of these guys. Schedule them 28 hours a week through the holiday. Full-time guys can have some time off, using guys that are fighting COVID here and everything else, can have some time off, use their vacation time or whatever they need. And allow you guys to accumulate the hours here till the end of the year and my term's over. So if the chief can work it into the schedule to give each of you 28 hours for the next 3 weeks, I'm all for it. We get regularly scheduled part-timers. That is a flaw in the whole thing. There is no regular schedule for part-timers. And I think maybe in the future, I would recommend to the other guys. The budget's there for it.
You know, I mean, I don't know.
I don't think there's enough time to put.
You shouldn't have to.
Open a can of worms.
Family struggled, very difficult, it went through difficult times, whereas all of our employees were gainfully employed during that time.
So everybody understands, first question I asked about these funds, anybody that knows me, was how can I pave streets? And I mean, I'll be honest.
Yeah, bonus. And unfortunately, through the entire process, out of all of us, I'm the guy that has had to tell dear friends of mine, people that I've worked with,
Yeah.
people that
It's
that
not
I,
for
that
Very, who am I gonna talk to?
Oh,
Also, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
So the toys are gonna be bought and distributed to the family.
That's such a shame.
Paper.
oh, awfully important in everybody's life. It really is, man. It's reality.
what say you? Last chance.
Okay.
Okay. That'll end it for citizens' comments. The next thing is adjournment. I'm gonna give my 2 minutes of time. For those of you who don't realize it, there's a cartoon on the board back there. If you don't understand it, I'm sorry for that.